environment. It's a whole nature versus nurture, right? That whole, argument. But my thing is also.
So they're setting up, actually.
They're setting up.
They're setting up a template.
Yes, they are. They really are. And that's what I'm saying. Like, people are like, how is that related?
A real Mexican.
Yeah,
a real
black guy, or a real, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it does go together. It might seem like a tangent. It's not. It's related. It's totally related. It's totally related. So when I hear someone
I feel bad for all the
Yeah.
times I said, well, a real woman would. I think we've all done that before. But I don't feel that bad, but it's.
I know you don't.
No, I actually don't. I reflect on it.
Really, really deeply.
Not even really deeply.
I
But
know.
I reflect on it a little. I'm like, how many times have I done that? A couple
times,
but
yeah. But see, the thing is, like, that's my thing, when I see something like that, and of course, what's going on with Kanye? I don't know if you've heard of what's going on with Kanye.
What's going on?
So Kanye went to TMZ, and he started off with that black people were slaves for 400 years because they wanted to.
Interesting.
And people were not listening to what he was trying to say. The same thing with MLK said, as far as being a state of mind. You're a slave as much as your mind. Even Harriet Tubman, I believe, said something like that. Of course, I might be misquoting. I'm not black, I don't know a lot of that history. But what I do know is I can understand where he's coming from. Because even as Hispanic people, we've all been slaves at one point or another. Native Americans, Asians, black people,
I was just listening to the
Hispanic
Hamilton
people,
soundtrack.
we've all been slaves at one point or another, and even white people. Shocker! White people were freaking slaves too at one point or another. So we've all been slaves, it's just at different times. But really, you're a slave to your own mind. And that kind of goes back to how you see people.
Especially now.
Especially
there were,
now.
of course, times where
he's
people didn't have
pro-Trump
it.
too, so that's only giving him even more shit. But I feel like just because you're politically aligned with someone does not make you an inherently a bad person. It just means that you have your own opinion. But when I hear him saying what he was trying to say,
what was he trying to say? Because
he
I don't
was
know
trying
about
to
this.
say that, how can we help the president be a better president if we're not willing to have a conversation with him? Because we are
interesting.
In that point,
and he'd be right on
that. We're making ourselves a slave to our own mindset by saying, "Well, fuck the president. I'm not even going to talk to him. Screw him." Well, how does he know he's doing a bad job? How does he know he's doing a good job? How does he know what he's doing if people are putting themselves in that slavery of a mindset of not wanting to do anything? Instead, they're just going to gripe on Facebook. Instead of actually doing something. He's like, I feel like in order for me to do what's best for y'all, I need to go and talk to him because I'm a black man. He's like, I'm a black man, I'm a rapper, y'all look up to me, so I am doing this for you because no one is going to talk to him.
Interesting.
But I have to.
Well,
because everyone is a slave to themselves.
Kudos for Kanye for
and that's exactly what I said. And the thing is, they cut off certain things because they wanted to blow
They want
it
to
up.
make it sound like he's Kanye being crazy.
Even Snoop Dogg made fun of him by making him look white
that's,
by Photoshop.
Okay.
But see, that's a black man shitting on another black man.
That's what we do. Yeah,
that's what we do. And I'm not saying we as in black people. We as people.
Yeah, that's true.
Have a bad habit of doing that, shit on other people for whatever reason. And so that goes back to that culture, that goes back to judging a book by its cover, going to the real man, the real woman thing. It's all connected.
It is all connected.
It's all connected.
Just rap. Just rap what you feel, man.
Rap what you feel. I mean, okay, my thing is, I appreciate what he was trying to say, but then another black man's like, you disappointed me. How can you say that, slaves had a choice, for 400 years and da-da-da-da-da. Does this look like we had a, I'm like, yeah, actually, we all are our own slaves to our own mind. And I know I'm probably going to get shit for this because, like, well, you're white. What do you know? I just said I wasn't white. First of all, I have a black man here in front of me, and he's not giving me shit, so you can't give me shit.
we always talk about the spirit of the conversation,
spirit
right?
of
You
the
just
conversation.
for thorny issues, you can't get the words
can't
exactly
get
right,
mad.
and so in order to have a dialogue, I have to kind of get
You have to
the
hear
idea,
idea
of what you're saying.
And the
Yeah.
thing is, I might not understand 400 years of slavery because I wasn't there. Guess what? You weren't there either. No one was there. I think there's only maybe like a few people that were alive during that time. I'm not saying it didn't happen. They'd be ancient. I'm not
I would
saying,
be afraid.
for real, I'm not saying it didn't happen. And I feel like in a lot of ways it's still happening. Absolutely. Slavery is still a thing. But I feel the idea behind it is you're being a slave to your own mindset. And I feel that if people are not willing to open up a dialogue and changing the narrative and being a part of the conversation, damn right I went there. They're not going to understand what's going on. Instead, they're just going to gripe, and they're still going to be slaves to their own mind. And how are you going to grow and learn?
That's tough.
How are you going to grow and learn?
And that's tough because people are so
Yes.
like this. It's
Exactly.
either or. You have very few people. Even Kanye is trying to like kind of.
Something.
He's doing that. I think of,
Backpedaling. A little bit of
I think of
backpedaling.
Hypatia, the female mathematician who got torn apart because just people weren't there.
They
like
weren't-
torn apart.
Yeah, literally.
Whoa.
Quartered. Yeah.
Wow.
Completely quartered.
Yeah, I think
If you
Kanye's
don't know
kind of
what
put
that
himself in a
means,
position.
quartered means your arms and your legs are tied to 4 different horses. And then at the point of a sound or a whistle or a smack on the ass, literally, the horses will bolt in 4 different directions, and your arms and your legs will be separated from your body. And because of that pressure, your spinal cord also gets, what's that word, erupted?
I'm sorry, I'm too busy being like really grossed out by this.
Sorry.
To think straight.
Well, they need to know what quartered
No,
means.
yeah, because
They don't know.
just so it never happens to you.
So the spine is
Don't ever-
basically, cut apart, and your synapses go to shit, and you die, basically. But it's a very painful death.
I was more thinking of the ripped apart thing, and like I swear I got a little bit of.
Yes, but that's because she was a female trying to do a man's job.
Yeah.
Like the whole Kanye thing, right? What's going to bump our ratings? I swear to God, they played the whole Trump Kanye thing for like hours over and over and over again, like just bashing it in your face. While the other one's like,
I'm glad I missed that.
and then the other one side is saying, but Trump is so great. He knows what he's doing. So you have 2 sides of the coin, and you have other people, like the Crips called out for Kanye's head, and it was Snoop Dogg's cousin or something.
Oh God.
Oh, yeah, and of course now it's all drama, and Snoop Dogg photoshopped Kanye to look white, like albino with the orange white. It's funny.
I can think of it as funny. I know I was about to say
It's
that.
super
It sounds
funny,
funny, but yeah.
But you're not taking what he's saying
Yeah,
at
that's too
face
bad.
value. And because he does have rantings,
Yeah.
it's hard to take him seriously.
So
It really is.
I just want to go on the record and say, as far as Donald Trump is concerned, I like history, and
I like history too.
yeah, and so my thing is that we're at an interesting time in history,
We really are.
and I feel like the leader that we get in the U.S. at any time reflects our values.
Absolutely.
And so you could have voted, you could have not voted, you could have done whatever, but we've got somebody who kind of represents where the U.S. is at the time. And there are lots of things we could do. There's lots of complaining that we could do. But if we actually want to fix where our country is at,
We actually have to
then
do
we
something.
actually do have to have a conversation.
Correct.
So I know that sounds nice and vague, I guess. Maybe for people who thought I was going to say down with Trump or Trump's great, neither, because in my eyes, my bitching about Trump or what he's doing or what he's not doing or standing over here, if I don't vote, if I'm not in with policy or getting educated or whatever, my opinion of the president means nothing, really. It helps me vent, but if I kind of like action, like both of us. We like to actually do things that are effective. And just for me personally, if I don't like what he's doing, I need to act. If I do like what he's doing, I need to bridge the gap or act or whatever. But just for me personally, I like to keep things zen. The Trump issue it's not even an issue. It's another president who's in the line of history. And if we know enough about the past, we know that it's kind of like, it's just society doing its regular thing. You can be empowered or disempowered or whatever by that. But, I always just say that you're just going to talk, then, okay?
Talk the talk and walk the walk. Yeah.
Do you walk the walk?
Yeah. And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with venting. There's nothing wrong with bitching. There's nothing wrong with stating your opinion on how you feel, even about this whole conversation. But it all goes back to knowing your worth, knowing your values, knowing where you stand.
That's the thing. I think
and then
because
your culture too,
I think it's because I know my worth. I know what's a waste of my time.
Correct.
And pro-Trump, anti-Trump. It really does lose the forest for the trees because the president isn't the whole country.
You bitch about segregation.
Yeah.
But you're totally segregating yourselves right now, guys.
Yeah.
You're bitching about something.
To my friends.
And you're doing it.
And we're over here. Yeah.
And you're doing it. Like, how is that
and
going to help
not
the
just
country?
Not just in terms of race, but in terms of just who we bitch to.
Yes.
Like, oh, we're going to bitch to each other.
And then you're on Facebook and you say one thing that's not even related to what they feel like, oh, I'm going to defriend you now because you were okay until I realized that you no longer believe what I believe. Well, guess what, people? That's what makes us all really great and different, is that we are all great and different. Yeah. But the segregation is still there. And I think worse now in the last year than it was before.
In all my years, I've never seen it this bad. I have not benefited from the last 2 years, and that's just true. The prejudice is up, the discrimination is up, the doors are closed.
Absolutely.
That's just a fact.
And then the whole build a wall thing, Hispanic people are getting even worse than they were before. Same thing with black people are getting shit for being black. Oh my God, where have you been this whole time? Black?
Yeah.
Where have you been all the time? Hispanic this whole time. I haven't changed. My skin hasn't changed. Your skin hasn't changed. I've been like this for 33, almost 34 years. Where have you been?
Yeah.
Nothing's changed. But the conversation changed. Yeah. We lost control of the narrative. And when we lost control of the narrative, everything went to shit. Yeah. Because people stopped listening, they stopped paying attention, and they stopped being a part of the conversation.
And they just kind of hide with their friends.
They start with their cliques and their segregation, and when that happens,
they can vent to each other.
How the fuck are you gonna fix your community? Yeah. How are you gonna fix your world, your country, whatever? And if you don't care about the world or the country, your family should still be important. Because guess what? Your family's gonna feel that wrath. Yeah. Because my kids felt it. Yeah. You know, my daughter has a very German last name, and her father is very white, and I say that with full, thumbs up, half English, half German, and, I'm Hispanic, there's no way around it, and her school friend said, hey, you can't hang out with us because you're not white enough. The other one said, you're not Hispanic enough. So she's like, okay. So I went with a bunch of other people who were just as mixed as I was. Yeah. And we were just having fun. But I've never heard before that my kid ever been told that. So when that happened, that really ticked me off. Because I'm like, well, that's your loss because my kid's pretty cool. Yeah. She is. She is pretty cool. Yeah. But they're hearing their parents, that, again, it goes back to the culture, to the judgment, to judging a book by its cover, and the real man, the real woman type thing, and the real culture. You're not black enough, you're not Hispanic enough.
I've never understood the wall really, but again.
I understand where that's coming from.
But there are reasons.
It's been there.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand where you're trying to get at. Yeah. The whole, but you can't punish. Again, you cannot punish a whole country because of a few, like we did in Baghdad. We cannot do that anymore. We're judging a whole freaking race of people for one bad hombre.
I think part of it is that that issue is just complicated.
It's super complicated.
It's a systemic issue as far as how you process people, and
but Mexico's an ally.
Yeah, I know.
And you're jacking up an ally. Why would you do that?
It's simpler. It's simpler.
Compared to what?
than doing nothing. If it's, if it's an issue to people,
Yeah.
and then we say, well, how do we take care of our social welfare systems, basically? I know, let's just plop a wall there. And I think it's an easier solution.
Let's not help the people in Flint, Michigan or Puerto Rico with water and electricity and say we're going to spend $30 million on a parade and a wall.
That's not simple. And that's not, it's easier to make a public splash, a public effect, because part of leading is moving people as well. And if you say,
but you don't want to move them negatively and against you.
well, if
You can only carry so much favor. And
Yeah.
when you're only at 30% approval rating, go kiss some babies and shake some hands,
I
because
don't
you
think
can't
it
be a
matters.
good president.
No, I don't think it matters at some point. I think that as long as you're getting your administrative agenda somehow moved forward, maybe I'm not saying this is good, that the ends justify the means. What I am saying is that I could be at 20% approval rating, but if the other 80% aren't doing a damn thing about it, then it doesn't matter.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
So
it's like
because they're removing themselves from that conversation.
voting, policy.
Policy.
When you want to fix social issues, you need policy,
and
it's,
if you don't know what those policies are,
yeah,
how are
it's-
you going to vote for the right ones?
It's easier to plop a wall up than it is to say, let's get people talking about Texas and Arizona on the state level to manage their own systems, right? That's bureaucracy, it's administration, and it makes people go like this, especially when on the state level, nobody's really unified. At least maybe on this big collective federal level, I can kind of strong arm stuff and get it to go. This is why we humans loved kings for so long, because kings get shit done. It's simpler to plop a wall and raise an army and get people mad than it is to actually design governments to work right.